Hare Krishna. So, welcome everyone on our Tuesday evening Bhagavad Gita class. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinim Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Once again, welcome everyone. So last time we discussed Bhagavad Gita Chapter 2, text number. Which text did we discuss last time? 38 to 43, I believe. So last time we were talking about importance of consistency in our actions. That small activities on a consistent basis can yield big results. And then we talked about importance of focused goal, single pointed attention, single pointed goal. So even in material life, somebody, if they want to achieve something in material life, they need to have a very focused goal. Same way in our spiritual life, we need to be focused on our goal. What is the real goal of our life? What is the end goal we want to achieve? So we discussed that one. So today we will continue from text number 44 onwards. Very important verse today we are going to discuss. Today we'll try to cover text number 44 to text number 48. Let's see how much we can cover, Krishna willing. So text number 44, very important, and it applies on everybody in all different walks of life. It applies on somebody in their occupation, somebody in their business, somebody in their spiritual life, somebody as a student. It applies on everybody. So we talked about single pointed goal, having the focused goal. Now in this verse, Krishna speak about why somebody is not able to focus on their goal, why people deviate from their goal, or what can cause people to give up their goals. Okay, so very important verse, please pay attention. Bhog Aishwarya Prasaktanam Tyapapharta Chetasam Vyavasayatmika Buddhi Samadho Na Vidhiyate. So Bhog Aishwarya Prasaktanam Taya Apaharta Chetasam. So in the mind of those who are too attached for sense enjoyment and material opulence, Bhog and Aishwarya. If somebody is too attached to Bhog and Aishwarya, sense enjoyment and material opulences, so who are bewildered by such things, their intelligence has been kidnapped by this thing. They are apaharta chetasam, right? Chetasam, their consciousness has been kidnapped by the tendency of enjoyment and material opulences. So they are bewildered by such things. Vyavasatmika buddhi. they cannot attain that vyavasatmika buddhi, that single pointed attention. Samadho na vidhiyate. So for them, this resolute determination does not take place. So very clearly, Krishna is telling who are not able to focus, who are not able to stay consistent on their goal, one who is too attached to bhoga and aishwarya. So in material life also, we can see so many examples. If a student is so much into enjoying, right? They want to watch TV, they want to play video games, they want to just hang around with their friends and just enjoy. In their minds, they cannot focus on their study, the goal of getting that good rank, good degree, or focus on their career. Same way, somebody in a profession, in a business, if their mentality is too much into enjoyment, they cannot focus on their goal. And then what to speak of somebody in spiritual life? If somebody is in the spiritual life, they want to progress in spiritual life, but they are too much distracted with this bhoga aishwarya, sense enjoyment and material opulence. Somebody want to gain big house, they want to get big promotions in their job, they want to get so many different opulence every here and then, going on some fancy vacations. So in their mind, this determination cannot take place. So Krishna is telling very clearly, if somebody want to progress in any aspect of life, this single pointed attention is very important. And why somebody is not able to focus? Remember these two principles or 2 points what Krishna is telling. Bhoga aishwarya. I will give you one case study in a material life. Okay, somebody who is focused on their goal or in their business goal also, or somebody on the other side who is too deviated because of the enjoyment propensity. So what happened in their case? So example, I'm taking the case study I'm taking here is the chairman of Kingfisher Airline. Who is that person? Who was that person? Anybody knows the name?
Vijay Mallya. Vijay
Vijay
Mallya.
Mallya.
Vijay Mallya. So people know. And then there is another airlines, Indigo Airline, another very famous airline in India, right? Indigo Airline. Who is the chairman of that airline? Anybody knows? Rahul Bhatia. We have Rahul Prabhu here, but that's another Rahul. Rahul Bhatia. So the difference in these two personalities, okay, the difference in these two personalities. See, the chairman of Kingfisher Airline, Vijay Mallya, his whole focus, his whole attention was on sense enjoyment and opulence, material opulence, bhog aishwarya. He was into this Kingfisher Airline, but on the side, he was buying lot of other things, all different acquisitions which he was doing. That was to get some sense enjoyment out of that. He was buying some Bollywood magazines. He was buying some Bollywood website. He was buying some race courses. He was buying some football field. He was buying some other teams, sports teams. So he was spending money in all these different acquisitions. Why? Was they related to his business, to expand his business? No. He was concerned what will give me material enjoyment, what will give me sense enjoyment in the future. So he is doing all these different deals. He is launching a magazine with some models wearing some swimming outfits and all, and he is 2 o'clock at night, he is taking interviews of different female models, drinking and all that. So he was spending his time and energy in that way, bhog aishwarya. And what happened to all his business? It went down. He had loss of 600 crore. He was spending money lavishly, just thinking, because he was in politics also. He was a sansad, right? He was a, I don't know what you call, MP or MLA in India. And he was getting loan very easily from government. Because the money was easily accessible for him, he was not utilizing it wisely. He was just spending it so whimsically. His whole focus was bhogashwarya. He had no business model. He was changing the models for promotion of his business, but he did not had a consistent business model, how to grow his business. And on the other side, we take the example of Rahul Bhatia, the chairman of Indigo Airline. He started the company with one plane. He had a very strong business model. He was focused on the business goal. He was very consistent in his approach. Every 2 weeks, he was adding another airline, another airplane into his airlines. So that same, the other person had 600 crore loss, and this person was gaining into profit. So the difference was having a clear goal, being focused on the goal, not whimsically spending. Because this person having the money very easily accessible from government loans, he was just spending it lavishly. Other side, this person knew the importance of money, and he was spending it very wisely. So in material aspect also, we can see if somebody is too attached to bhoga aishwarya, their whole life goes upside down. They cannot attain any goal. And then when we come to spiritual life, of course, we need to have a very clear focus, very clear goal and vision, that that is the goal of my life, and I want to give up my previous enjoyment propensities. I want to cut down on those things and focus on this goal. That's why we choose the association very carefully, because association, it gives us, it shapes our desires, and our desire also shape our association. We have discussed that point many times. Our association shape our desires. What type of association we have, based on that we develop our desires also. And there are so many other examples we can take. Okay, the people who were too attached to sense enjoyment, how they sacrificed, how they spoiled their own careers, how they spoiled their professional lives. And another example we can take is Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, right? In both, they had a lot of similarities also. Both of them had a drunk father. They spent their life staying with drunk father and mother, and means under the care of mother. And then one was 42nd president, another became the 44th president of America. One person always was surrounded by many different scandals. So Bill Clinton, he was surrounded by many scandals, and in his time, the federal prisoners, the federal crime increased manifold. And by the time of his presidency was over, the country was in a state of recession and so much of financial loss, because his main propensity was bhog aishwarya. He was too much into those propensities. On the other side, Barack Obama, he took over the presidency while the country was in a major financial crisis, but he created thousands and thousands of jobs. And in his time, the number of federal prisoners, federal crime went lowest. The economy grew. And this person, he, every Sunday he will go to church. He was of very religious background. We have seen some articles or some news. He used to carry Hanuman picture or Hanuman deity also in his pocket or something. I have heard that news also. So the difference in consciousness, that affects the results. If somebody is too attached to bhoga aishwarya, to sense enjoyment and just material opulences, they cannot focus on their goal. Another example we can take from Ramayana, Ravana. Ravana was very scholar. He was a learned Brahmana. He was the son of a Brahmana, son of a sage, Visharba Rishi. And he was the grandson of Pulatsya Rishi. So he had read all the 4 Vedas. People say he was devoted to Lord Shiva, that okay, he was devoted to Lord Shiva. And many people, they have so many misunderstandings about Ravan. right? So much on social media, these things keep going on. Some people say, oh, why you say Ravan was so bad? Actually, he was not bad. He was very learned person. रावण की शक्ति सबने देखी पर उसकी भक्ति किसी ने नहीं देखी. People make that kind of statements that, oh, he was also a very wonderful devotee of Lord Shiva. And they say Ravan, actually he never touched Mother Sita, even though he kidnapped Mother Sita, but he never touched her. So people make Ravana into a hero. They think, oh, Ravana was actually a very wonderful person. He was also a hero. And they compare Ravana with Ram, actually. That Ram could not protect his wife. And on this side, this person, he kidnapped Sita, but he never touched her. But why he did not touch Sita? There is a reason behind it. Because one time what happened is he went to Swargaloka. When he attacked on the demigods, he went to Swarga, and after defeating the demigods, he actually came across Rambha, and he wanted to forcibly take away Rambha, and Rambha insisted that time that I am your daughter-in-law, right? I am going to be married to Nal Kuvera, which is the son of Kuvera, and you are brother of Kuvera. So in that sense, I am your daughter-in-law. But Ravana did not hear. He forcibly took Rambha, misbehaved with her, and then finally, after that, Nal Kuver cursed him. After this incident, if you ever touch a woman without her permission or against her will, your head will break into 100 pieces and you will die. Because he was cursed, that's why he did not touch Mother Sita. Ravana actually misbehaved with his own wife's elder sister also. Who was Ravana's wife? Mandodari, the Maya Rakshas daughter, right? So she had another elder daughter. Her name was also, I think, Maya or something. So he misbehaved with her also and forcibly whatever he did with her also, and she also cursed Ravan. So Ravana, even though he had 10 heads, his heads were filled with knowledge, information. I will not say knowledge, information. He had 20 eyes, but he still could not see. He could not act properly because he was too attached to Bhog Aishwarya. And because of that, he offended so many people, he got so many curses. And we talk about in Mahabharata, we talk about Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. Dhritarashtra was materially blind, but he was spiritually blind also because he was too attached to his sons. He was too attached to the kingdom. He was too attached to the throne of Hastinapura. He could not see what is the right thing to do. Because of his propensity for Bhogashwarya, same with Duryodhana, because of his tendency for Bhogashwarya, they committed so many sins, so many bad activities towards Pandavas. And ultimately, it led to all of their destruction. So like that, there are so many examples we can quote here. Krishna very clearly saying, somebody who has this tendency of Bhogashwarya, they cannot stay focused on their goal. Sometimes people, especially in student life these days, we hear especially in America, there is a trend of um, doing some side jobs, right, while studying also. So people, they get into some small part-time jobs while studying, and when they see little money coming in, their whole attention becomes diverted. They get short-sighted and they forget the real goal. They even drop out of college. They just want to take these small menial jobs. Oh, I can do this job on a hotel, in a restaurant, or at this store, or this particular job, and I can start earning money. And they just get diverted because of starting to earn that money so that they can enjoy, they can become independent, and they give up the real goal, real focus. They lose that real focus. So this shloka is very important for all of us. Same way, if we don't focus, if we don't very carefully observe these things, how these can take away from our spiritual practice. Our consciousness is sometimes abducted by material desires. And when consciousness is abducted, then that one-pointedness, that focus is not possible. So material attachment, they can make us blind. And in that blindness, we even lose the sight on our goal. as I quoted the example of Dhritarashtra, because these material desires, they are like the kidnapper, right? If we once give to these material desires, thinking that, oh, I can do this, it will not harm me. If one time we did that, and then these desires will come again and again. Like a criminal, if the criminal sometime abduct a child, right? They kidnap a child and then they ask some ransom from the parents of the child. Now, if the parents, they give that ransom, if they fulfill that demand very easily, then the kidnapper may think, oh, this person is an easy target, I can do that again in future. The same way, these material desires, they kidnap our consciousness, they kidnap our intelligence. And if we give up to these desires, then these desires keep coming again and again. Sometimes we think, oh, these desires are troubling me so much, let me do that little bit and get relief from that. But there is a difference in getting a relief or getting a release from that desire. Relief means, yes, I will get some relief from this hankering or from this pain which is caused by this. It is temporary. Relief is temporary. Release, on the other side, is becoming free from that. Right? To understand this example, let's say somebody, a criminal, is in the jail. Now, in the jail, the criminal is being punished by the policeman, or the officers in that jail. Now, if he is given little bit relief in between the beatings, if they give him some time, some concession that, okay, now after 10 minutes you can take a break. So the person, the criminal, may feel some relief from that beating. Should he feel happy about that? Or should he think that, oh, I want to go out of the jail, I want to get released from the jail altogether? So getting relief temporarily or getting released from that situation, what should be the goal for that criminal? Same way for us, we are in this material world in a miserable situation. These miseries will keep coming again and again. In between, we can get some relief from those miseries. And this relief also, what sometimes when people say that, oh, I am feeling little happiness by doing this thing, that happiness is nothing but relief from the miserable situation, right? Just little relief from misery, people feel I'm happy now. It's not really happiness, that's just a relief from misery. But we should think, how I can get complete release from that situation. So understanding the difference between those two things, if we continue indulging in these things, then desire will be becoming more and more strong. Like as I said, kidnapper may think I can abduct that child again. So same way, the desires keep abducting our consciousness again and again. And we can only stay protected if we understand, yes, there is a danger. I do not want to get into these indulgences again and again. So text 44, that's why it's very, very important to understand how we can become deviated. And then text 45, Krishna says, if somebody thinks that, okay, I'm acting based on the Vedas, in Vedas, there is a concession given for material enjoyment. Like people say, there are 4 things as dharma, artha, kama, moksha, the 4 pillars of religious life. So I'm doing my religiosity little bit, and based on the religiosity, dharma, I am getting artha, and the purpose of artha is to do kama, to enjoy. So I am acting based on the instructions of Veda. I am doing enjoyment in a religious way only. So what is the problem with that? That's why Krishna says in the next verse, text number 45, Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigунयो Bhav Arjuna Nirdvandavo Nityasattvastho Niryogo Kshema Atmavan. So Krishna says these Vedas, they primarily deal with the subject of 3 modes of material nature: ignorance, passion, and goodness. So one should try to become transcendental to these 3 modes. Be free from the dualities and from all anxieties of gain and safety, and be established in the self, Atmavan. So all the instructions given in the Vedas, all the different Karamkanda rituals, these are for different people in the mode of ignorance, passion, and goodness. Ultimately, all three are binding. So that's why Krishna is telling, become free from these three modes, become transcendental to three modes. Nistraya gunyo bhava Arjuna. Go beyond these three modes and see what is the ultimate goal of life. Be free from the dualities of anxiety for gain and safety in this world. So Atmavan, when Krishna says become Atmavan, it does not mean that, oh, earlier you are not possessor of Atma and now become possessor of Atma. What does it mean is one need to become more situated in spiritual awareness, spiritual consciousness by going beyond the three modes. Because sometimes we use the other words like Dhanavan, Balavan means Dhanavan means somebody who becomes rich. Balavan means somebody who becomes strong. But same way here, Atmavan does not mean earlier you don't have Atma and now you possess Atma. No, we are Atma. But here the word Atmavan means you become more aware of that Atma, that I am not the body, I am the spirit soul. So become aware of your spiritual identity, spiritual consciousness. Because if somebody is a very wealthy person, but he is under intoxication, he may not realize his own wealth. He may not realize how rich person I am. Right? Sometimes somebody is very intoxicated, they just forget everything in that state of intoxication. So same way, when we are under this ignorance that we are not the spirit soul, but we are just the body, and under that intoxication or under that ignorance, we think ourselves to be the body and we forget about our spiritual identity. So here Krishna says, come out of that intoxicated state of material enjoyment, material attachment, and be situated in spiritual awareness. And Krishna gives the example also. Next verse, 246. Krishna gives the example of a small well. All the purpose which are served by a small well, they can all at once be served by a great reservoir of water also. Similarly, all the purpose of the Vedas can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them. So Krishna is saying, go beyond the Vedas, understand what is the real purpose behind the Vedas. Vedas are talking about mainly three modes, how to act under these three modes, how to stay happy in this material world, but one should try to understand what is the real purpose of the Vedas. So Vedas are here compared like a small well. Whatever the purpose a small well is serving, yes, well is supplying little water, all that can be supplied by a great river also. But the river can supply much more than that. So same way, one should understand what is the real purpose behind the Vedas. And the purpose of the Vedas is to understand Krishna. All the purpose of Veda is served behind if we understand the essence of the Vedas. And Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, text number 15, Vedescha sarver aham eva vedyo. The purpose of all the Vedas is to know me. So all the purpose of the Vedas can be served if we understand what is the real purpose behind it. And the purpose here, one need to understand the difference between Karma Kanda and Karma Yoga. So after text number 46, now 47 onwards, Krishna will be moving to the topic of Karma Yoga. So far, Krishna was explaining Karma Kanda. Right? So, but after this, Krishna will now moving to the topic of Karma Yoga. So here, understanding the contrast between Karma Yoga and Karma Kanda. Karma Yoga, Karma Kanda, let's say first Karma Kanda. Karma Kanda, what is mentioned in Karma Kanda is the results attained by Karma Kanda, first of all, though are temporary. Somebody may do some ritual, and by performing those rituals, one may get some result, some material benefit, but those are temporary. Right? Those are not eternal in nature. But the result attained by karma yoga will be eternal. And people whose intelligence is many branched, they are distracted by many desires. So they engage in this process of karma kanda. Whereas somebody who is single pointed attention, their goal is for self-realization. They are fixed on that goal of self-realization. And by performing karma kanda, the destination will be based on within the three modes. Whereas if somebody engages in the process of karma yoga, they can attain an eternal destination which is beyond the three modes. So one need to understand the difference between karma kanda and karma yoga. Okay, the people who are engaging in karma kanda, later on in chapter 7 and text chapter 9, Krishna is explaining those people are less intelligent. Whereas people who engage in the process of karma yoga or any other yogas, they are more intelligent. So go beyond this process of karma kanda. Vedas, they primarily speak about karma kanda, but ultimately one need to go beyond that to understand the eternal relationship with Krishna. And then we come to the most celebrated verse, most celebrated shloka of Bhagavad Gita, 2.47, 247. And this shloka, even though this is a very famous shloka, but this is the most misunderstood shloka also of Bhagavad Gita. I will tell you. And I will tell you why also when we discuss this shloka. So let's recite this 247, very important shloka. कर्मण्यवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफल हेतुर्भुर्मा ते संगोस्तव कर्मणि. So here we will understand this shloka because people quote this shloka many times, but people misquote this shloka. They say, oh, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying, do your work. That's all. Just do your duty. We have to do our karma. Our karma is everything. There are so many bogus teachers of Bhagavad Gita. They will promote that just do your activity, do your karma. That's all. You don't have to think about anything else. Kam hi puja hai, work is worship. Many people, all these philosophies are also promoted so much. But is it really Krishna telling us that you do your work, that's all? Here, we'll take this shloka into 4 parts and understand what is the real meaning behind this shloka here. So Krishna is saying, Karmanne eva adhikar aste. You have the right to perform your duties. You have been entitled to do your work. अधिकार, आपको अधिकार है काम करने का. You have been entitled for your work. But in the next line, what does Krishna says? Ma paleshu kadachana. But do not get attached to the result of your work. So people don't even go after the first line. They just take the first line. Karmanneva adhikaraste. Oh, we have to do our work. But next line, Krishna says, Ma paleshu kadachana. Don't get attached to the result. You have the right to do your duty, but you do not have the right on the result of your work. So people may say, okay, if I do not have the right to do, I do not have the right on result, then why should I do the result? Or why should I even work then? In general, people think, I want to do the least work and get the most result. And that's what people want. They want to do the least amount of work in their job, in their occupation, and they want to get the maximum result. A student want to do the least amount of study and get the most result. They want to study the least and want to get the best marks. They want to utilize that, the, what do you call, some, at our time when we were studying in school, there used to be a small books called kunji. What do you call that?
Like a study guide, Prabhuji?
like small
Right.
study guides that you just follow, that you don't have to read the whole big book or the whole syllabus. You just follow that small study guide and you can get good marks. So people want to do the least, but they want to get the best maximum result out of that. So here, that is the general propensity of people, but Krishna is saying you can do your work, but don't think of the result, don't get attached to the result. Then one may say, okay, if I am not entitled to the result, then why should even I work? Now here, the second line we need to understand very carefully what Krishna is saying. Ma phaleshu kadachana. Do not get attached to the result. It does not mean you should not be concerned about the result. See, somebody, you are working whole year in the company. Now at the end of the year, when you are having a discussion with your manager, and manager knows this verse from Bhagavad Gita and he quotes Ma phaleshu kadachana, don't get attached to the result, don't think about the increments in the salary or even the salary, you just do your duty, don't worry about the salary. So will that be a reasonable statement? Ma phaleshu kadachana. We need to understand what Krishna is really trying to tell us here. There is a difference in getting attached to result or being concerned about the result. See, if we say I am not concerned about the result at all, I will just do my work, but I don't care about the result. It means in our study also, let's say we are studying Bhagavad Gita, right? So I will say, okay, I will do my work, I will read Bhagavad Gita, but I don't care if I get any understanding or not. I will go for some service in the temple, I will go for cooking, but I don't care if the puris are half fried or nicely fried, if the sabji is cooked properly or it's burnt or it's half cooked. So it does not really talk about that. We should be concerned about the result, not getting attached to result. So for most of us, the desire for fruit, right, desire for the result, that motivates us. So it's not entirely wrong, but we should do our duty for the purpose of purification. So Krishna is not pleased just by our result, but Krishna is pleased by our endeavor also. Last time we talked about the example of Lord Ramachandra pleased by the squirrel because of her effort, her endeavor, even though the result may be very small. So Krishna is not pleased by just our results, but by our endeavor. So we should have, what should be our motivation in any work we do or even any service we do? So if we do it for result, then there will be a lot of insecurities. The student, if they are studying because of the result only, because they want good result, then there will be a lot of insecurity. Or if somebody else gets ahead of me, or if I do not get good marks, if their whole consciousness is focused on the end result, then during doing their work also there's a lot of insecurity. So we should not be focused on the result, but main purpose should be for the purpose of purification. And that is where the level of karma yoga start. I am doing my activity for the purpose of purification. And then the third reason is for pleasing Krishna. Then it comes at the level of bhakti yoga. My purpose of doing this activity is to satisfy Krishna, to please Krishna. My goal is, if my goal is just result, then I cannot be spiritual, because I will be constantly thinking of results. So here Krishna, when Krishna is saying don't get attached to result, it does not mean we should not be concerned about the result. Then the third statement of this shloka, which says karmanyat vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbhur. So the third statement is, do not think yourself to be the cause of the result of your work. So in plain simple words, what Krishna is saying, do not think yourself to be the doer, that this result is achieved because of me. Do not think yourself to be the cause of this result. So generally, because that's what the propensity is, either we are attached with the result or we are attached with the name and fame. that I achieved this. Right? So here in third line, Krishna is saying, do not even think yourself as the doer. Because ultimately one should understand that there are many other factors apart from me because of this work that got completed. There is Prakriti and there is ultimately Krishna who is behind this work. So I will say in these three different words here, these three words are something was coming to my mind and it skipped immediately. So I will come back to that point. But here we should understand it's not only us who are performing that action, but behind that, there are many other factors. In chapter 13, Krishna talk about 5 different factors which are causing any action. So generally people think I did this, right? Any software programmer, they think I wrote this software, I wrote this program. Any sports person, they think because of me, we won this match. In the cricket match, last over, last final ball, and a sixer is needed. And if the batsman hit that sixer, they think because of me, we won this match because I hit the sixer on the last ball. So I am the man of the match. And if in our spiritual activity also, if we start thinking, yes, I did this service, I dressed Radha Gopis and Vallabh today, I cooked for Krishna today, so I gave the class today, I am the preacher, I am making so many devotees. So then it is me, me, me. We are always thinking I am the doer. But ultimately we should understand I am not the doer. What it means is I am not the doer is because there are many other factors behind this. There are so many sports people or some other business people, they have some sort of superstitions, right? Somebody thinking, let's say there was a tennis player, when he will go for playing, he will be wearing earring in one ear and thinking, oh, this is my lucky charm. Because of this is kind of my good luck and I am able to win because I'm using this. Somebody, if they will put a handkerchief in their pocket and only a particular portion coming out, somebody will never wash their jersey thinking, oh, this is my lucky charm, this unwashed jersey. But behind this superstition, we should understand at least there is a consciousness behind, somebody else is there behind my success. So same way we should think, I am not the doer. Ultimately, there is somebody who is helping me to perform this task. So Krishna is saying, don't think yourself to be the doer of your activity. And then finally, Krishna drops the final bomb here, the fourth statement, because Krishna understands the mentality of people. If I am not entitled for result, if I should not think myself as the doer, one may say, then why should even I act? Why should even I do any activity? I can just simply sit down on my sofa chair and just relax. Why should even I do anything? So Krishna says, don't get attached to not doing the work. Don't think that I will not do the work. You have to do your duty. So not being attached to not doing work. No matter what the situations are, you are getting the result or not, or you are getting your desired result or not, but you should continue with your action. And what is the purpose of action? For learning purpose, for purification purpose, ultimately for pleasing Krishna. See, most of us, when we act, we are affected by our surrounding conditions, our surrounding situations. Our surrounding situations or the different conditions, they affect our action. Condition plus action, that results to result. Now, all the surrounding situation, all the conditions, are in our hand? No. Is the result in our hand? No. If every result was in our hand, then we should be getting always what we want. If the result in the hand of student, if then they think I will always get A grade, I will always become the topper in the class. So result is not in our hand. The situations, the circumstances are not in our hand. What is in our hand? So in that equation, condition plus action is equal to result. In that whole equation, only thing which is in our hand is our action. So we should do our action without getting affected by the conditions or without thinking about the results. So if we are acting in an unaffected way, in a peaceful situation, in a stable mentality with full concentration, that is should be our goal. So success or failure, that does not matter. So either it's success or failure, always remain the same. And somebody gave that golden statement actually. What is the golden statement? Success or failure always remain the same. That is the only formula to reduce your pain. So if we stay equipoised, that's what Krishna is going to tell in the next verse actually. So this golden statement is coming from the next verse, which we'll discuss in few minutes. So here we should perform our action without getting affected by our situations or without getting affected by the result. That is the principle of karma yoga. Some people, they take this fourth statement, right? If the result is not in my hand, if I should not consider myself as a doer, then why to even act? So that is consistent inaction. They are very consistent in not doing their duty. So that is consistent inaction. But higher than that is, some people, they may be doing their action, but they are not consistent in their endeavor. Sometimes they may do their duty, sometimes they may not do their duty. So that is inconsistent action. So first, the lowest level was consistent inaction, very consistent and not doing their duty. Higher than that is sometime doing the duty, sometime not doing the duty, inconsistent in their action. And then the higher than that is affected consistent action. Somebody is very consistent in their duty, but they are very affected by their circumstances, or they are affected by the result. We may see sometimes people in the office or in the government job, they will be doing many, always complaining. Oh, why this is like this? Why this is like that? They are complaining, but still continue doing their action, right? They are affected consistent action. Always doing kitch, but still doing their duty. Husband and wife, they may have many problems. They may be quarreling all the time, but still being together. Wife may say, I am fed up with all your nonsense, but still I am staying with you only because of kids. If kids were not there, I will leave you immediately. So always complaining about the situation, but be there doing your activity. That is affected consistent action. But Krishna tells what we should be doing is unaffected consistent action, without being affected by the circumstances, by the situation, being always consistent in doing our duty. Now when it comes to our spiritual practice also, in our spiritual practice also, we should be consistent in our activities, we should be consistent in our sadhana, we should be consistent in our service without complaints, right? Oh, why it's always like this? Oh, why that person is always like that? Why he is causing me problems? Why? So we keep complaining about certain things and we do our duty. That also brings negative karma by doing the duty while complaining. So we should be doing without complaining. So, and doing without the focus or without the attachment with the result. Let's say in preaching activity. In preaching activity, if our consciousness always become attached to the result, how many people are coming? How many people are progressing or becoming sincere in devotee? If we are focused on that, it will cause problem for ourselves also, in our preaching also, in our sadhana also. I'm telling from my personal experiences. So if we are focused on that end goal, then it will take away our peace of mind also. We have to continue doing our efforts. If we are inviting every day, every week, we are inviting people, please come for program, please come for program, please come to temple. They come, they don't come. That's okay. We have to continuously keep doing our endeavor. If we start thinking, oh, what is the use? I'm inviting him, he's not even coming. What is the point of sending him message? What is the point of calling her? No, we should continue doing our duty. Krishna is pleased with our endeavor. Krishna is not pleased just by the result. I shared that small video clip from His Holiness Swayam Bhagavan Keshav Maharaj. He spoke about that success principle, right? What is real success? Success is not in the result achieved. Success is in the endeavor done. So that principle is coming from this verse of Bhagavad Gita 247. Krishna says, do your duty without being attached to the result. Because results are not always in our hand. And then text 48, again, very important verse, where Krishna is now saying, you become situated in this principle of yoga. So let me read this shloka here. Yogastha kuru karmani sangatyaktva dhananjaya siddha asiddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. So siddha asiddhyo, either it's a success or failure. Sama bhutva, become equipoised on that. Samatvam yoga uchyate, because that is the such equanimity is called yoga. So here Krishna is 47, 48, Krishna is talking about karma yoga. Perform your duty equipoised. Either there is success or failure, you perform your duty without abandoning all attachment to the success or failure. Such equanimity is called yoga. So become situated in yoga. Whatever one gets, success or failure, should not hinder your progress. See, in failure, actually one's consistency should even become more stronger. That I got this failure, now next time I want to perform even with much more attention, with even more I want to put more efforts, more endeavor into that. It should not be that failure, because of failure we give up that activity, we give up the goal. So do not lose focus on the end goal. Always stay consistent focus. And if there is a failure coming, put even more effort next time. So no matter if it's a failure or success, continue performing your duty. And ultimately we know the purpose of yoga. Yoga means connecting with Krishna, connecting with the Supreme Lord. Physically, people may think yoga is to do some asana. So here in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna second time has used the word yoga in this verse. Earlier we saw it in 239 where Krishna used the word buddhi yoga. That was the starting time. First time Krishna used the word yoga. And now in 248, Krishna is using this word yoga. But the purpose of yoga is not some just physical postures. That is just one limb of yoga, right? Physical posture, asana. But here, yoga means to connect with the Supreme. And that is equanimity in yoga is without being affected in success or failure. So become equanimity, or because of equanimity towards material things, that creates the foundation for spiritual progress. Ultimately, we should understand in this material world, there is nothing to be agitated about. If we start keep getting excited for small things, some small achievements, people get so excited about that. Or there's little loss, we get so agitated about that. If we keep getting excited or agitated on small things, then we cannot progress in spiritual life. To progress in spiritual life, the foundation is to become equipoised, to bring that equanimity. So this text number 44, 48, These are, or sorry, 47. These are really, really important. So from last two sessions, from last session and this session, the key points, one is consistency in action. Second one was being focused on the goal. Vyavasatmika buddhi, having that single pointed attention. Then the third principle Krishna is telling why somebody cannot become focused on the goal, because of the tendency of bhoga aishwarya, the propensity for sense enjoyment or material opulences. And then fourth one, Krishna is saying, continue performing your actions without becoming affected by the situations around you or without becoming affected by the end result. Don't get attached to the result. So that is unaffected, consistent action. And finally, Krishna says, do not worry about the failure or success. Become equipoised in all situations and continue doing your endeavor. So these are some of the key messages from these few verses of Bhagavad Gita. So I will stop it here. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. If anybody has any questions, comments, any discussion points, we are open for that.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I think this is a beautiful, these are very famous verses, and you have explained us very beautifully. And the Krishna's life is the same. That is a very good saying, don't sweat the small stuff. And that's what he's saying, even in a management, when you think of it. The people who are the best managers don't get disturbed and don't shout and all that, and they're more balanced than some other, managers. And the interesting part of it is Krishna's life, you look at it, every place, he's equipoised, even during the death of all his, relatives and everything, he's giving up Uddhav, all the kind of Uddhav Gita. He's so equipoised, even in all the situation, that is just unbelievable, the way he does it. And he gives the example by his own life. You can see his balance no matter what. Really, if I was there, I would not leave Vrindavan and go into all the trouble. But he goes and does everything. And even at the end of his life, he's sitting there. Somebody kills him. He's still giving the equipoise totally. And he has a total control of himself. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes. So ultimately, what somebody may say, Krishna is God, so he can do, but how do I relate with that, or how do I get inspiration? That's why we take inspiration from somebody who are like us, who are able to do certain things, who are focused on their goal, and we can take inspiration from them. Right?
Right.
Okay. Anything else?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Raju Prabhu.
Prabhuji, you said we are not the doer, but there are, what are the elements which are part of the doer?
Okay, Jeev, Jagat, and Jagadish. Okay, so Jeev, living entity, that is part of the action, because every action starts from our desire. So that is Jiva's contribution, living entity. So Jeev, Jagat means material nature. This body is part of material nature, right? This body is given to us as by the nature. And then Jagdish, the Supreme Lord sitting in our heart as Paramatma, he is the sanctioner of all our desires, all our actions. So ultimately, these are the three key players for every action. Even though action starts from Jiva because of the desire, so he is responsible for any bad actions also. We cannot say, oh, ultimately Krishna is responsible, why I should be getting the punishment or something. But Jiva is also responsible because every action starts because of the desire of Jiva. But he is not the only doer. There are other factors which are responsible for the action.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, I've got two questions. One is, so Vedas are not just 4 books. It's a group of scriptures that comprise one set. So when it's referred here by Krishna and the text 45, is it specific group of the Vedas Krishna is referring to, or in general for all 4 Vedas groups?
See, the 4 Vedas which we refer to, the Samaved, Atharvaved, Rigved, Yajurved, originally it's one Veda based on different set of instructions. One particular section talks about the different rituals being performed. One talk about all the different melodies, meters for singing, reciting the prayers, like Samaveda, right? And then there is another Veda which talk about some other section which is related to medical science or all that. So in that way, there are different sections. Originally, it was one Veda as one set of knowledge spoken by Krishna, and later on it was divided into 4 different sections based on the content. So, but those are the 4 Vedas. Apart from the 4 Vedas, then there are many other Vedic literature, which is more of as a philosophical knowledge, which are Upanishads. And then after that, then there are Puranas. Puranas is like the histories. Okay, so the 18 Puranas. So all these comprise as overall Vedic literature, which is some of these are called as Smritis, some are called as Shrutis. Shruti and Smriti. Shruti is which is directly spoken. Smriti is which are remembered and based on that remembrance compiled. Okay, so the Vedas and Upanishads, they are considered as Shruti, which are spoken. And then Puranas are known as Smriti. Smriti means based on remembrance. Whatever history events has happened, remembering those has been compiled. So all the Vedic literature come under these 2 categories, Shruti and Smriti.
Okay, so when you say the original Veda is the Riga Veda, that is the first Veda. So this is there any
So
specific?
when we are talking specifically about the Vedas, we are talking about these Vedas which are now split into 4 Vedas: the Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Atharvaveda, Samved. So all the knowledge which is given in these Vedas are mostly based on Karma Kanda principles. Okay, different rituals to be performed for certain purpose, either for material welfare, for our physical strength, physical well-being, all those purposes.
So Prabhu, in this verse, mainly Krishna is talking about the Veda that deals with the subject matter of 3 modes of material nature. So is it any specific section of the Veda or any subcategory of the Veda that Krishna is referring here? Because the overall Veda group will also include the Smritis, Shrutis, Upanishads, which
No, that's what I'm
includes
saying.
the philosophy too, and transcendental philosophy also.
Right here, when Krishna is talking about the Vedas, he specifically mentioned about the Vedas which are commonly known as these 4 Vedas, not all the Upanishads and Puranas. Krishna is referring to only that section which are these 4 Vedas.
Which mainly the Smritis or Brahmas, but not the Aryanks.
No, it's part of Shruti, not Smriti, the Vedas.
Okay, so mainly the ritual part or that
Yes.
part can be understood from this, not
So,
the.
so in Vedas also there are the highest transcendental knowledge also there.
Yeah, that's
but it
what I
is
think.
maybe that is on very hidden, maybe 1% of that. Right? That's why in Bhagavad Gita also Krishna is saying the essence of Vedas is to know me. That knowledge is there in Vedas also. But the primary section is covering the Karma Kanda rituals. that if you do puja in this particular way, we can get this result. It talk about all the different recitation meters and all, singing, right? You can sing the prayers in this way or that way. That is Samveda section. Then there is the whole Ayurveda and all different things are there. So all these are how to stay happy within this world, how we can stay happy, have long life, peaceful life within this world. So whatever information is focusing on that goal, that's what Krishna is referring to as a karma kanda process, and one should try to go beyond that.
Prabhuji, one of the things I'm thinking of is this whole division of Vedas has been compiled by Vyasadeva by giving different, disciple different things like Samaveda is, Jaimini was getting Samveda and Rajurveda was given Vaishampayan and all that. I don't remember the whole thing. Other thing is that there is a difference in Vedas, 4 sections, like first is I don't remember that, but second is Aranyak, and then third is Brahmana or something, Karmakand it goes, and the last portion is Upanishad.
Yeah.
Vedas are divided by like that by Ved Vyas, basically. Originally it was all Vedas, and same thing with the Puranas. The Sutta Goswami, Sutta Uvacha, they call it in Bhagavad. The Sutta is the expert on all the Puranas, right? And Puranas also were divided by Ved Vyas. So he's a compiler and he really put everything in writing. That's the way I understand, if I'm correct. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Samhita,
Yes.
Brahma, Aryanks, and you mentioned what the fourth one, Upanishads.
Yes.
So the Gita itself, as a Gita Upanishad, is also part of the Vedic group of literature.
Yes, it is part of Vedic group of literature, and Krishna is bringing about churning all the Vedas and giving the summary form. Right, so all this knowledge in bits and pieces here and there, it's scattered in the Vedas also. But here Krishna is just churning out and bringing the essence to give in the form of Bhagavad Gita, and that's also known as one of the Upanishads as Gita Upanishad.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you, Ravi Shankar Prabhu. So, all right, so thank you everyone for
Hare
joining
Krishna,
into this
Prabhuji,
session.
Dhanavad Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.